everyone, what's up? Welcome to the GMB channel. Hope you will enjoy our video. Before we begins, hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Here is the news title. Keir Starmer is too scared to sack Rachel Reeves, claims former Chancellor. The Prime Minister doesn't dare to sack his Chancellor. It was claimed Sir Keir Starmer has been accused of being too scared to sack Chancellor Rachel Reeves, despite her bungled handling of the economy. Westminster is awash with rumors that a reshuffle is imminent, with cabinet ministers including Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson and Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy said to be in line to lose their jobs. But the biggest question is whether the Chancellor will be replaced, following dire growth figures and criticism of her decisions to means test winter fuel payments and increase national insurance. However, a former Chancellor says Sir Keir would not dare to sack Ms. Reeves. Kwarteng said Sir Keir would not remove his Chancellor because that would make the Prime Minister's own position less secure and could lead to him being forced out of number 10. Mr. Kwarteng told GB News, "I don't think there's any way Keir Starmer is going to get rid of her, because we know that if you get rid of your Chancellor and you're the Prime Minister, they're going to come after you next. I've lived that, so I don't think that's going to happen." And then, the other question I would ask is that there's no other Labour MP that would do anything differently. And we can say, oh, Rachel Reeves, she can be the scapegoat. But if she were replaced tomorrow by West Streeting or whoever, they would do exactly the same thing. Mr. Kwarteng should know. The Conservative politician was sacked as Chancellor by former Prime Minister Liz Truss in October 2022, following the disastrous mini-budget, which caused chaos on financial markets. But Ms. Truss was forced to resign, herself less than 2 weeks later. Figures earlier this week confirmed that the economy is barely growing, with gross domestic product up 0.1% between October and December. It was slightly better than expected, as analysts and the Bank of England had expected the economy to shrink in the quarter. However, Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride said Ms. Reeves's budget was killing growth, and working people and businesses were already paying for her choices. It follows zero growth in the previous 3 months, which had led to fears that the UK was on the brink of recession. Britain's independent forecaster, the Office for Budget Responsibility, OBR, is expected to reveal downgrades to growth forecasts in the spring statement on March 26th, which it has reportedly warned the Chancellor this will wipe out her $10 billion headroom, spare money against its spending plans. This will put Ms. Reeves under pressure to cut spending or even resort to potential tax rises to keep her on track with fiscal rules, according to economists. Keir Starmer is too scared to sack Rachel Reeves, claims former Chancellor. Introduction: Sir Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party and the current Prime Minister, has found himself at the centre of growing speculation regarding a potential cabinet reshuffle. Among those rumoured to be at risk is Chancellor Rachel Reeves, who has faced significant criticism for her handling of the economy, including recent controversial decisions such as means testing winter fuel payments and increasing national insurance. However, former Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng has claimed that Starmer is too scared to remove Reeves from her post, fearing that it would jeopardise his own position as Prime Minister. This accusation raises important questions about the stability of Starmer's leadership, the potential consequences of sacking a Chancellor, and the broader economic challenges facing the UK. This article will explore these issues in detail, examining the credibility of Kwarteng's claim, the economic performance under Reeves, and the potential political fallout if she were to be replaced. The accusation: too scared to sack Reeves, Kwasi Kwarteng, who himself was unceremoniously removed from his position as Chancellor by Liz Truss following the disastrous mini-budget of 2022, has suggested that Starmer will not risk removing Reeves because it would put his own leadership in danger. Speaking to GB News, Kwarteng argued that if you get rid of your Chancellor and you're the Prime Minister, they're going to come after you next. His claim is rooted in historical precedent. The downfall of Liz Truss is a stark example of how a Prime Minister's authority can be rapidly eroded following the sacking of a key minister. By dismissing Kwarteng, Truss inadvertently admitted to failures in economic policy, weakening her positioned to the point where she was forced to resign just weeks later. Kwarteng implies that Starmer could face a similar fate if he were to remove Reeves, particularly in a political environment where economic stability is a major concern. Economic performance. Under Rachel Reeves, since taking office, Rachel Reeves has faced increasing scrutiny over her handling of the UK economy. Recent GDP figures show that the economy grew by a mere 0.1% between October and December, barely avoiding a contraction. While this was slightly better than expected, the previous quarter's zero growth raised fears of a potential recession. Critics, including Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride, have accused Reeves of killing growth with her fiscal policies, which, they argue, place undue burdens on working people and businesses. Two of her most controversial decisions have been means testing winter fuel payments. This move was seen as a cost-cutting measure, but was criticized for potentially leaving vulnerable individuals without adequate support during the winter months. Increasing national insurance. Intended as a revenue-raising measure, this policy has been met with backlash from both businesses and workers, who argue that it stifles economic growth and reduces disposable income. Additionally, Britain's independent forecaster, the Office for Budget Responsibility (OBR), is expected to reveal downgraded growth forecasts in the upcoming spring statement on March 26th. Reports suggest that this downgrade could eliminate Reeves's $10 billion headroom, leaving her with difficult choices regarding potential spending, cuts or tax hikes. Political landscape and Westminster rumors. Westminster is rife with speculation about a forthcoming cabinet reshuffle. Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson and Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy are among those rumored to be at risk of losing their positions. However, the biggest question remains whether Reeves will be replaced. Political insiders suggest that Starmer's reluctance to act may stem from a lack of viable alternatives. Kwarteng himself pointed out that even if Reeves were replaced by another Labour MP, such as Wes Streeting, the overarching economic strategy would likely remain the same. This highlights the structural challenges facing the Labour government, rather than purely individual failures. What happened with Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng? To understand the potential risks of removing a chancellor, one need only look at the downfall of Liz Truss. In October 2022, Kwarteng's mini-budget introduced sweeping tax cuts without sufficient funding plans, leading to market turmoil and a collapse in investor confidence. As a result, Truss was forced to sack Kwarteng in an attempt to stabilize her leadership, but this move backfired. Instead of restoring confidence, it highlighted the failures of her administration and led to her own resignation within days. The parallel drawn by Kwarteng is clear. If Starmer sacks Reeves, he may inadvertently signal that her policies were flawed, thereby undermining confidence in his leadership and making himself vulnerable to political attacks from both within and outside his party. Reeves-Starmer faces a difficult balancing act. Keeping Reeves in place allows for policy continuity, but exposes him to continued criticism over economic stagnation. Replacing her, however, could trigger a loss of confidence in Labour's economic credibility. If Starmer removes Reeves, it could signal internal disarray and weaken market confidence in the government's economic strategy. Empower political opponents. Both the conservative opposition and factions within the Labour Party could use the sacking as evidence of Starmer's mismanagement, fail to yield significant policy changes. As Kwarteng noted, any replacement would likely follow a similar economic path, limiting the effectiveness of a reshuffle. The future of Starmer's government. Looking ahead, the next major economic test for Reeves and Starmer will be the spring statement on March 26th, where the OBR's downgraded forecasts may force difficult decisions on public spending and taxation. Meanwhile, Labour will need to manage growing public dissatisfaction over economic growth and living standards. If Starmer hopes to maintain his position and avoid the fate of past leaders who have lost control of their cabinets, he must carefully navigate these challenges. Whether that means standing by Reeves or making a bold move to change course remains to be seen. Conclusion: Kwasi Kwarteng's assertion that Starmer is too scared to sack Rachel Reeves is grounded in historical precedent, particularly the rapid downfall of Liz Truss. However, Starmer's hesitancy may not be solely about self-preservation. It may also reflect the broader economic challenges and the lack of viable alternatives within his party. As the UK faces economic uncertainty and potential recession, the Prime Minister's next moves will be critical in shaping both his leadership and the nation's financial future. So what do you guys think about this update? Let me know in the comment below. If you like my videos, press like button and subscribe for more. Hope I will see you in next video.